What's going on, everybody? As you can see, I'm trying something new today, but I'm not here to talk about my setup. I'm here to talk about this. This is what we're going to be talking about today. Unfuck Yourself. Get Out of Your Head and Into Your Life by Gary John Bishop. Now, this was actually a very good book. Quick read. And just like any of the books that I've read so far, there's always something to learn. There's always different points that he's trying to get across. This particular one is all about 7 personal assertions. No audio. What do you mean, no audio? Well, let's figure this out then. Hmm. Well, let's see. What about now? Can you hear me? All right. Thank you to my one viewer helping me out. Love it. But let's get back into it. So, the 7 personal assertions made in this particular book. Now, some of these are actually fairly interesting. I like them all, to be honest with you. I do have a favorite, just like most people have a favorite in anything they read. But the first one I found very good. It took me a second to understand what he was trying to get at, but it's called I Am Willing. And there's actually 2 parts to it. It's I am willing and I am unwilling. And the quote that he says is, "You have the life you are willing to put up with." And the second one that I focused on was, "Circumstances don't make the man, they can only reveal him to himself." So, what does that mean? It's actually fairly simple after you read it. But everything that you do and everything that you have in life is what you put in place. And it's there because you're willing to put up with it. And you really can't blame anybody else for that, right? It's your decision to be there. So if you're in a slump of some sort or having a rough go at it, you're there because you're willing to be there. And I know it sounds harsh, but a lot of times reality is harsh and truth hurts, and we end up being our own worst enemy. But he also goes into there's the opposite of it, and it's I'm unwilling, and that's kind of when you go into the fed up portion of life. I'm unwilling to live like this any longer. I'm unwilling to be broke. I'm unwilling to work this pathetic job that I've been working for years. I'm unwilling to not pursue my, you know, passion. So I think that was a really good point. But the big thing is things happen that we can't control, but our actions and responses to it, we can. So that was actually a really good point. The very first assertion, I am willing. The second assertion is, I am wired to win. This one got a little deep, and I know some people are reading it like, that doesn't make any damn sense to me. Because he says, when you think you're losing at life, you're actually winning. And this is where he almost lost me. So basically, he says, everything that we do or everything that happens to us, like I said, is our decision. We're there for a reason. But it's how we operate on a daily basis. It's how we think, things that we say, things that we put out into the universe, so to speak. And it says your mindset and self sabotage has ensured you accomplish what you set out to do. So if you have negative thoughts on a regular basis, you're subconsciously telling yourself that is your goal, i.e., I will never make what I need to make. I will never finish this. This is way too difficult. Well, you're telling yourself that, and subconsciously you're winning. You're doing exactly what you told yourself you were going to do. You were going to fail. It's like I used to tell my soccer team, and yes, it's just kids. They're fun to coach. But my son's team and my daughter's team, they weren't allowed to say I can't, because as soon as you say I can't, you've already told yourself that you can't. You've already committed to failure. Now, if you say I'll try, or I'll do my best rather, well then there you go. Like you're already there. You're halfway to success, and that's a big thing for me. I've always been a proponent of I can't, right? And I do make the joke in the house. My kids, are you Mexican or Mexicant? Because they are half Mexican, I think, or quarter Mexican, right? Which I think is funny. So the third assertion, I got this. All right. It goes back to the negative emotions that spread when we think about them. So if you continue to live in a negative place, it will spread throughout the rest of your life. So if you're having a shitty day at home and then you're on your way to work, you're probably gonna have a shitty day there too. And vice versa. If you have a shitty day at work, you're probably gonna have a shitty day at home when you get done at the end of the day. You're not gonna be, you know, not gonna be willing to put up with anybody's shit. But it says, get connected to your reality, your real life, instead of your emotionally soaked self talk narrative about your life. So, again, if you tell yourself your life is shit, it's going to be shit. All right. And our mind gets us into trouble on a regular basis. Sometimes we need to step back and look at it from a different perspective outside, right? Is my situation that shitty, or am I painting it that way? Am I making it that way? Am I doing this to myself? So that is number 3, I believe. Yep. Number 4, I embrace the uncertainty. And he goes on to say that basically the only thing certain in life is that it's uncertain. You can't expect things that are going to be guaranteed. There's nothing guaranteed in life because things happen and happens all the time. It says the only thing certain is uncertainty. By embracing it, we let go of worries and start to see opportunities. All right. So if you're not expecting things to be like 100% guaranteed, you'll be ready for whatever comes at you. And not only that, but you'll see it in a different light. All right. One person's failure is another person's triumph, right? But if you can do it for yourself, like, okay, well, I fucked up this particular situation, but I opened a door here. Now I'm free to try something else. That's how you have to view it. And I agree with that a lot, because there's no such thing as failure, only lessons learned, right? It's all about how you think about it. And the next one, I am not my thoughts, I am what I do. I think I've mentioned this before, as far as when it comes to things in life, your actions dictate, how things are going to go. But people have negative thoughts and self-doubt and all sorts of stuff going on in their head on a regular basis. It takes a very disciplined mind to not act upon those thoughts. And what I mean by that is when you start getting to a position where maybe you're a little drained, you're a little tired, you're not as motivated, or your discipline's starting to take a hit, your brain's going to tell yourself, okay, maybe it's time for me to quit. Maybe it's time. I'm not going to get this done, so maybe I should just move on to something else. But if your actions are opposite of that, then you've disciplined yourself to a point where, regardless of what negative thoughts you have in your head, your actions tell you you are worthy of accomplishing what you're about to accomplish. Yeah, and it says sidestep the inclination to act upon them, basically. You don't have to feel like today is your day. You just have to act like it is. So it goes to, sometimes you feel like shit, but you do it anyway. This one's my favorite, this next one. And I'm actually glad I started my Facebook group before I read the book, because then you guys would tell me I got it from this book. So it's called I Am Relentless. And it says our biggest successes are born out of discomfort, uncertainty, and risk. Now, I chalk this up to the fight or flight syndrome, right? Or response. I tell folks every now and then, depending on the situation, I don't have a fight or flight. I have a fight or fight harder, especially when I'm determined to do something. And it, just like it says, I am relentless. If you want to accomplish something, if you want to be successful, you have to rely on that relentlessness that you have inside of you. Not your motivation, not your discipline, but your sheer will to basically say, fuck this, I'm going for it. And I believe that wholeheartedly, because there's going to be a lot of obstacles in your life, whether you like it or not. Some are going to be self-imposed. Some are going to come from external sources, family, friends, colleagues, individuals who don't like you and want to see you fail. So they're going to put that bug in your ear saying, no, you can't do this. Just come back over here with us where we're all comfortable in our world of failure. Don't. You have to be relentless in everything you do. All right. So that is my favorite. That's my favorite chapter. I recommend, if I could say, read that one first, I would. It's a very good chapter. And then the last one, I expect nothing and I accept everything. This is a big one. And he had a very good point on this. Basically, expectations will fuck you up, and it'll do it on a grand scale, not just in business but in life in general. Because what he says is a lot of times we concentrate and focus on the expectation rather than the situation itself. We expected this particular situation to go away and it didn't. So how can I make it go the way I expected it to? So that's what they start focusing on, and it ends up failing. And he mentions marriage and other relationships, business relationships, everything, because the expectation is not always what it is, right? It's not. It never is. You expect it to go smooth, and it doesn't. It says instead of concentrating and focusing on the expectation, you need to focus on the situation and figure out how you can turn the situation around, not to cater or to tailor it to your expectations. And if you do that, you're gonna have a much happier life. And I, yeah, so that was my second favorite chapter. The whole book is really good. I had never paid attention to this person before, to be honest with you, as I throw bookmarkers everywhere. But it turns out like we've got a couple of his books in the house I haven't gotten to yet. My wife bought them, and then I saw this one at Barnes and Noble, and I was like, you know what? Good on you, whoever came up with the title. Got my attention. So it's a really good book, and I recommend it wholeheartedly to read it. Um, it's a quick read. It's only 207-ish pages. It's not that big or long, and it's not technical. It's not a huge bunch of big words. I'm not a brainiac, so I don't like huge words. If I got to look up words every 5 seconds, it kind of turns me off. Just kidding. I do look up the words. It's fun. But highly recommend this book. All right. My next book I'll be reading is this one. I'm already over halfway done with it. It's called The Traveler's Gift. If I can get this thing to focus. And this is along the lines of The Go Giver. It's a fictional book with real world application. So far, it is a very good read. Like I said, I just started it 2 nights ago, and I think I've only got like 60 pages left. Another short read. I don't do encyclopedia length books. There's no point. I'm sure there is. I just don't have the time. But I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown of the book. I really think you guys should check it out, pick it up, even if it's just the Audible. I wonder if it'd be pretty good on Audible. I love audiobooks, depending on who's narrating. So with that, I'm going to leave you with this.